And we are back. So this is which number of episode here?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because
we should stop counting the
we should apologize to our audience for a big delay. So we had certain excuses for this.
Yes, busy life.
And we brought a very interesting guest today. Actually, it was worth waiting for this moment. So it's expert in media, in journalism, in IT, AI. So actually, our guest will present itself. But first, let's present our host. So this is me, Eugene. So
yes, and Yulia.
And the name of our guest today,
Varvara.
Hello.
Let her speak.
That's not a lot of pressure at all. All of the titles. So yes, I'm Varvara. I'm from Estonia originally, and I think for over 10 years now I have been working in digital publishing. That is with companies that provide different services for the newspapers, magazines, newsrooms, etc. And I worked as a developer, now as a team lead, and I'm really excited to be on your podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's always fun to record the podcast. That's actually the main reason why we do it.
Okay. Before the podcast, you gave me a bit of history about your the influence on your choosing of this topic or I don't know how you become subject. Why? Yes, this is most important.
Why? So for me, it is a little bit personal story because my mother, she used to be editor-in-chief of a weekly newspaper in Estonia, and she became an editor, I think, at the age of 30 or so. And so after school, I would always go to her work, and I was basically growing up in the newsroom with all the smoking, cursing journalists. It was a lot of fun, and I remember them running around with like printouts and pictures, and I remember the times when there was one computer in the newsroom that everybody used, or like everybody else used typewriters, and then there were at a certain moment in time multiple computers, but only one had connection to the internet. And there were jobs that were like, I don't know, typists, spell checkers. And these were actual careers for people. And this has changed so much in such a short time that it's very interesting to see how AI is going to affect journalism. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to go. But also because I fundamentally believe that journalism is a fourth power that balances the other three. So if we let it sort of die and fade into the dark without supporting independent journalism, it will be very hard to hold legislative, judicial, and executive powers accountable. So I'm hoping we can employ AI and all these new emerging technologies in a way that will support journalism.
Yeah, journalism is now one of the most, I don't know if affected is a good word for it, but affected industry with all the technology and AI. And it's really amazing what's happening in this field, especially starting from your childhood when there were people typing everything.
Yes. I actually wanted to be a typist when I was little.
That was your dream.
It was such a cool thing with a big typewriter.
Yeah.
It makes sounds. It makes sounds.
You still type on the keyboard. You actually are a typer on a daily basis. All of us.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, but if using that machine actually type it, so you see, it's like a physical, so physical. You can feel it. I'm making the word. I'm making it.
Yeah. My mom actually had a typing machine at her job as well.
Yes.
A very different job. She was working in the police, but she was typing some documents. Yeah. And in my childhood, they also had just one computer in the office, and I came after school and I played a bit with it.
They let you play it on the one computer?
Yes.
And from your perspective, we have our script, but before, we're talking about our primary content. What do you think? What's good journalism is? Good journalism. from your perspective?
Well, there are certain rules to good journalism. So, of course, it's a very broad term, journalism. There are certain aspects. So I would focus not on like leisure reporting about, I don't know, festivals and theater. It's all very interesting, but the essence of the journalism, I think, is still why it is the most important part of it is political reporting and reporting on wars and current events that are transforming our world we live in and our society. And there, journalists have to be very honest, have to put their the truth first, even though it might be dangerous for them. It might be not in line with the current, let's say, discourse in their country or in their town or wherever they're from. And also, they have to be thorough. They have to find proof of everything they say. So it's not like AI is coming now and we have a lot of AI slop and it's becoming bad. There has always been bad journalism. It's not it's not something new. There have always been people who are slacking a little bit, lazy, who are making a report and they talk to two people and they are not covering the other side of the story. So
or just put a
bias.
personal opinion.
Yeah, that's I mean, Boris Johnson, the former mayor of London, has been working in the Daily Mail, which is not the best sort of journalism, as I'm sure, because it's tabloid journalism, and the main purpose of it is to gather traffic, to gather usage, to gather attention. So.
Yet there are some wonderful people working there.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
it's still one of the biggest, most influential, oldest newspapers in the UK. So it's still to be respected, but of course the content has to be taken with a grain of salt. But so indeed.
And maybe it's good to have different types of content. Actually, once you asked the question, and I thought, what would be my answer?
Yes,
I agree that it's really important to know what's happening in the world, right? In different parts of the world, like there is a war, etc. But if you put that aside, imagine it's all good, there is no war. Even knowing what's happening just in your country or in your, well, not really neighborhood, in your city or in your region, maybe there is some change in a law, or I don't know, a tax law change, or some local law change, or some information that is very local and useful, that where would you get it otherwise? Like oftentimes I actually get it from such sources. So it's very useful. And of course, there are also specialized sources for different professionals as well.
And I agree. And this is actually where journalism is ahead of AI, because nobody would be aware that, for example, in the city of, Tallinn is my hometown, but let's say Tartu, right? They have changed the rules that the public transport budget will be reduced, and so there will be less buses, and so people would need to rely on personal cars, bicycles, but it's in Estonia, -20 in January is not really an option to use a bicycle or walk,
or to wait for a bus for an
exactly.
hour.
So, and this is such it's a small piece of information, and if it wasn't for the local journalists, nobody would have found out, and there wouldn't have been a protest or like an action towards changing this. And AI only finds about it. When it's scraped and when the big models, large language models, are retrained. So there it gets in a few days or weeks, depending on criticality. I mean, if it happens in New York, probably we'll find out faster. But if it happens in your local town, then we don't.
Yeah, and you mentioned a good note that AI scrapes the publicly available information, right? And probably some global sources and not the small local sources.
Well, I think they scrape everything that they can. Yes. And it's just, it's easier to get stuff that's more out there. Mm-hmm. So.
It's interesting. Last weekend there was a boxing fight. I think that was weekend, no, or Monday. It doesn't matter. So our Ukrainian boxer Usyk fought some other guy. To be honest, I am not following that, but everyone was following. And the
Not
reason,
me.
yeah, me too, like this. But my surrounding was following it, and everyone's waiting for the actually boxing match. And I googled it when actually it happened, because I was also curious, so let's wait. And so they're already at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you see everyone's waiting. And I came to Google and check it, and some websites already saying, the Usyk lost the fight.
Oh, no.
I start my journalist journey and start checking, validating facts. Is it true? I try to find any pictures, nothing. Like few websites.
Maybe the fight didn't even finish yet, and there are already
it's not
fake news.
even started. The fight
wow.
and you see the official message, so it postponed for an hour or two or something like this.
Okay.
But some website already pushing, some Ukrainian website. I'm not mentioning Russian ones, but some websites already saying, even in English, they even posting something in English as well. So, and again, this is a fully clickbait stuff. So people are googling this, and probably for them it's a way, basically monetize their content, because everyone is googling. Come on, where is the fight? Come on, what's the results? So journalism, probably it's about truth. Truth is a key here, and in our world with heavily generated world at the moment, it's easier to create misinformation. So basically it's how to say it, less convenient to see the full picture instantly, and a lot of, again, propaganda, a lot of misinformation. And from your perspective, how to fight this? How I don't know exactly. So just finishing my thought again about ChatGPT and all others, they get information from Reddit. If you go to Reddit, some topics are good, some topics are completely lost somewhere, and AI is learning by this source. From your perspective, what do you think actually, how we can resolve this?
Well, I don't think we can resolve it. If we could, if it was a simple question, then we wouldn't have politicians and best minds of our generation cracking their brains trying to figure it out. A few solutions, I think, are emerging. One of them is labeling AI-generated content. The other one is the opposite, labeling human-generated content. And then there's a middle ground when we label something that's been, let's say, AI-assisted. For example, I used AI to gather some information, but then I double-checked, and then I wrote it, and that's human-generated content. And allegedly, people who would see it would appreciate that somebody put effort and thought into producing a piece of content. However, we don't know whether people actually will notice it and will actually use this sort of tagging when they consume content. And I have a sad example in my own family. I have a grandmother who's 93, and she's a lovely woman. She is a lawyer, used to be a lawyer. She's quite bright. However, recently she uses social media, and she got pulled into the vortex of a story about Meghan Markle. And the British royal family and the whole situation with Prince Harry marrying Meghan Markle. And I wasn't aware myself because I don't follow that closely, but there are so many stories, videos, some bogus articles about what a monster Meghan Markle is. And when my grandmother told me, "Oh, this is terrible! Like this woman, this is just unacceptable. This is Prince. What's going on with the world?" And I told her, "Well, Grandma, this is AI generated. This is not human written content. These videos, these articles, this is not true. This is just AI slop. And I tried to explain to her the technology, but I think she couldn't fully grasp it. It's not to say she's
because
stupid.
It looks real.
Yeah, it looks fully real, and I don't think. I'm sure when I'm 93, if I'm still alive, I would have the same sort of problem when my grandchildren will try to explain to me things. So we can hope also that users become more educated on the subject, and they will be able to recognize more easily. But I mean, our children are learning, but so is AI. So
Yeah. Is it really possible at this stage to recognize for sure if it's AI generated or human generated? I've seen some questionnaires online with 2 pictures or videos, and then people vote for it, and it's not like it's a great result. Like oftentimes, it's the other way around. You think it's human generated, but it's the opposite, and vice versa.
Well, it's a challenge. But I think if you, for instance, I'm a reading type of person, not listening, or like I don't watch that many videos. If I see a text, I'm thinking like I'm using, for instance, Instagram, and I see less and less human generated content, because you can see this like
a style,
the style,
Yes.
or certain phrases, especially in English.
Thrilled to announce.
Yes.
and
Delve into.
And one other thing, very important, like this is just as a phrase, this is not weakness, this is strength. And I'm already like, okay, I'm mad at myself for having read the whole thing to land on the this is not weakness, this is strength, and realizing it's actually AI. But yeah, I'm not even sure that our children, the next generation who will grow up in this environment, they will see an importance in having in being able to differentiate between AI and human-generated content. So
yeah, or just question it, or we don't know. I mean, the AI is getting really good.
You know, we're always scared of technology. Before there was radio, probably then was television, will be poison our brains.
yes.
Then
We were writing mail to each other, like letters, and sending them. Now it's an email.
Yes, it's not humane like radio, so it's evil technology. I don't know. But then internet came, and who would read anything? Who would go to library? But still, we are living in this. And now next wave with intelligent systems, intelligent chatbot, which basically executing task for you. So you're given the task and agent executing this task. For me, it's a matter of how we get used to this technology. Actually, it's a wave. It's coming in 10 years. Probably there would be another wave. It's now expected AGI, so general intelligence coming very soon. But come on, very soon. It's when, and companies trying. It's true. Company trying to monetize existing technology. They invested super heavily into this, into hardware. If I don't know if you tried to recently to buy some flash drive or some memory for the computer, twice or triple the price of normally, because of AI companies. They basically purchased everything. They pay in premium to have access to manufacturing facilities and to have the most recent hardware for them. So they're investing in this, and they're trying to also taking money out of it. The question, how to do this? How? And integration with where I'm working also with CRM systems and so on, and I see how companies, first of all, software companies, they're trying to push in these technologies, and regular different business companies, retail or some public organizations like municipalities, for example, they're experimenting with AI bit by bit, but they're implementing this. And again, another industries coming actually like a wave, and monetization wave. And from the past, the media was monetized by again selling newspaper, physical newspaper. Then we have a subscription services, and how we can monetize it. What do you think? From monetization perspective, what's a new business model of monetization of media? What do you think? What's Yulia? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think first of all, even before talking about the new models, media right now already has two models. One is the print services that still exist, and some people like them, especially the older generation.
As Axel Springer, they still have physical.
I think they still print stuff. And then you have the apps, right? And it's all online, and that's a different type of monetization. And there, if you are a publisher who already has this and has many users reading your online newspapers, for example, then it's a bit easier to keep them. But now, of course, with ChatGPT, with some agents who are answering questions or summarizing the content, it's a good question. Like, you probably cannot avoid it, right? So you need to find a way, okay, how can I maybe provide the access to my data if I'm a publisher, and maybe introduce a new stream, right? A new monetization stream, but still keep it safe, rather than I do nothing, but then there will be other ways around, and we know that the content is being scraped even when it's tagged, and it shouldn't be scraped. Some people manage to make some, copies and all that stuff.
Have you seen the recent movie Devil Wears Prada?
I didn't see the second one.
The second one. Actually,
The
movie starts when she got fired. She was a journalist. She dreamed.
Thanks for spoiling, I guess.
Yeah, but
that's just the start.
But it's in the trailer. If you watch the trailer, it happened again. But she was a journalist again. If you remember the first movie, her dream was to be a journalist, and so she was proud, and she received an award in the movie, and then I will not spoil, but something happened and so on. And she's no longer a journalist. But again, it's this movie. It's about the world we live in, So and the entire team was, basically fired. But it's in US. It's a bit brutal in this sense.
But it's not
that's happening.
An exception also in Europe. So because I grew up with a lot of journalists around me. Now I know for a fact that many people in this industry are indeed struggling to find employment, because they not only have to fight with AI, they have to fight with influencers, TikTokers, and just people posting something. We don't even, I don't use TikTok, but neither does, let's say, my mom does, but she's a special case. Like people in their 50s and 60s, how can they reach these younger audiences? And that was also the subject of many discussions that I heard in from other publishers. They are actually investing a lot in social media without having any certainty that it's going to work. So now if you see, for instance, The Guardian, Le Monde in France, the New York Times, they would just post a reel on Instagram or TikTok where there's just a normal human, like not made up, not wearing a suit, just somebody in a t-shirt sitting on a couch and explaining, let's say, Jeffrey Epstein's files. And this is a way to get young people, like 16, 17-year-olds,
like a hook.
Yeah, to trust them, to trust the brand, to know, okay, that's Guardian, that must be reputable, that's trustworthy. And then once these kids are old enough to earn money, then they might buy a subscription. That's what a lot of publishers are doing right now. So and they also know that employing AI, presenters and like generating AI content is a bit dangerous, because these kids, they know for most part they can tell, okay, and they're not gonna look at an AI generated face telling them about the files, because they will just swipe through and they will want to see some authenticity. These are the same kids who are saying, I don't need a smartphone, give me a Nokia phone with buttons and stuff like this. So that might be one way forward, but nobody can say for sure that it will work. I guess
that's an assumption. And by the way, I totally agree that people younger than us and the kids, they can they can spot the generated content. But even those who cannot spot it, sometimes people can already have a feeling, but something is wrong with it. Like something, maybe you don't notice the micro little details that prove that it's generated.
Authenticity.
Yes, but you still somehow somewhere in your subconscious on your subconscious level you feel that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, when you again ChatGPT, you're asking them to generate you within something, in different, for example, suit or something, and little details, little, something.
It's very smooth.
I have a funny story. A couple of years ago, I generated some pictures of me with Midjourney. That was just the beginning of all that stuff, and I spent an evening on that. I had some fun pictures, and I created some pictures for LinkedIn, and this picture was very, very similar to me. Of course, maybe today it will be a perfect picture. And so I put it on LinkedIn, and then my colleagues told me, oh, was it a generated picture? Because that's not really you. Of course, somebody who doesn't know me, they will look at LinkedIn and it will be good enough. But people who see me...
I remember that image.
And then I changed a few. I'm like, let me try this one. And some people from work. And then I was like, let me try this one. Let me try that one. And in the end, I put a real picture of me.
So it was a good test case.
Yeah, but again, from the point of view of a person who is working in the industry, if they need to fear of a job, of losing the job, or they need to, reskill themselves or learning new tools. Because, for example, before the podcast, I read a bit about a bit controversial. It's not even journalism, but rather propaganda. It's like creating narrative, creating totally fake, totally made up stories, supporting with very realistic images, text, and like fake evidences, and very fast you can basically create very high quality propaganda. Again, in Iran they're doing it, in Russia it's happening. Actually, everyone doing this at the moment. So what do you think on the topic?
Well, propaganda existed also 100 years ago, unfortunately, and also then people believed it. And I mean, an example of Russia, for instance, there were, because I'm following a few Russian sources that are anti-government, and they are debunking these reports. And there was one interesting case when they filmed the same woman who was allegedly in Ukraine, then allegedly in Israel, then allegedly in some other like a war zone. So so
universal.
So universal soldier. People will not recognize.
You don't even need AI. I mean, to generate some bogus content and some propaganda. I think with AI can be useful for journalists to debunk these myths, to do the research. But of course, because a while ago, I remember, maybe it was, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, I took like a fact-checking course, and they taught us, how to look for sources. And there are certain websites where you can go and you can check, like, was this school in Iran really bombed? And there you can trace back where it started from. So there are actually teams of people doing that. I don't know if they are able to generate any revenue with their work, but that's actually what good journalism is about: is to debunk it. Whether general population will care enough to consume this content, that's a different story. But I think there are a lot of journalists who are doing this work, and I just hope more people will support them financially or just through spreading the word. I'm not saying I want to be one of these people who are just reposting everything they see and claiming that it's propaganda.
But even you, we can when in Ukraine the war started, and I reshared a lot of stuff, and once I received a message, guy, come on, you are sharing propaganda. Which propaganda? Which to fake complete? And I look at details. Yes, it's true. It's not. You see, it's very psychological actually. So
the more emotional you make it, the more chances somebody will just.
And it's very mechanical. It's very mechanical. It's not. You're not even aware. The problem of this, you're not even aware.
Well, that's why we're here talking to raise awareness. And it's actually, that's also another thing I noticed, is that AI is not only a tool, is not only a force that disrupts this world, that changes the society. It's also a subject of journalism right now. So I have a family chat with my mom and my brothers, and I posted like a funny reply by ChatGPT, which I found funny because ChatGPT was like scolding me, telling me like, no, you're really like wrong here. So I was like, okay, back off. And my mother, she reacted by sending me like an apocalyptic article from Forbes, an article about a team in Sweden, like an experimental think tank, and they launched a cafe with AI agent. So AI agent did everything. They like he ordered some food, hired people, got some permits even, and it couldn't bypass like a human checks in the Swedish system, like where you have to register a business. So it used some roundabout, like sneaky ways to do it, and it managed to actually open a cafe. And my mom's conclusion was, you should stop talking to this thing. And my conclusion was, no, this is a great case, and people who wrote about it actually enjoyed it.
Yes.
People
yes,
who read
I
it
agree.
also enjoyed it. And this is like writing about, I don't know, new movie or a new cool thing. So a new, I don't know, kind of train or a plane or something. So it's cool that AI is being covered, and the more journalists do this, the more journalists talk about this, the more general population is aware. So yeah, I think we should keep doing it because it's not going anywhere, is it? Like it's here to stay.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's being useful for newsrooms as well, because there are some certain types of jobs, like looking into your archives, or maybe when you do some research, summarizing the big amounts of data. Although you don't need to double check probably at this stage, still there can be certain types of work that you can do, but you can do it way faster with an AI assistant.
That's true, yeah. And I think right now I see a lot of people already doing it, like also the journalists. So they get some sort of gist, right? And then they rewrite it, and yeah.
Or another good use case is that when the journalist wrote an article, but in the beginning of the article you have an AI summary, like just a few, I don't know, some 10 lines.
This is
so, and there, as a user, I actually accept it and I like it because I'm like, okay, let me see in 10 rows, like what is it about? And then I can dive deeper to read the full real article.
Personally, this helps me a lot, actually. And also I like to listen, actually. I have my bicycle, and when imagine there is even a book, you know, and there is nothing about this book, so you need to read it or just feed it to, you know, AI, and just listening to summary, asking questions about this book. Imagine you have an intelligent person who knows everything about this book, and you know, can ask, you know, the question on this.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun, but yeah.
Yeah, for me it's a capabilities again. It's again, if we are positivistic about AI, it's building new capabilities which never been before.
I
actually don't think that journalism will disappear or go anywhere. I think everybody understands the value.
Because you have to give it the source data, and this is not AI is not going to be able to go into the village in Afghanistan, talk to the women. Well, maybe not even human at this point, but I mean, you got the example. Is that talking to the people who are actually experiencing certain events, and actually generating something new. So I know when AI just came, everybody was saying, but this cannot do anything new. And then we saw what it can do, and we were like, okay, this is completely new, but it doesn't mean it's good. But yeah, I mean, I don't think an AI could have come up with an idea to open an AI agent-powered cafe on its own. It actually took a team of people to think, oh, that's completely crazy, but it's cool. Let's try. So original thinking, I think, it still remains in the human capabilities.
And what's a problem, at least for now, it's because we are working mostly with generative AI. There are predictive AI which exists for a while, yes, for decades already. And generative AI, it's also not recent, but recent years has become very popular, and more capabilities built actually to scale it. Yeah, what was the question?
I think your question was about. Let me predict your question right now.
Predict.
Maybe your question was about, okay, what about the generated content in terms of voice, image, maybe the text itself, right? So the content, the voice, and the image.
Yes, let's try this one because I sometimes it's too low.
You want to get my opinion on generated content?
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually, I feel like recently I'm overfed. It's like, you know how they make foie gras, they put the duck in a bag and they just keep shoving the food in. This is the feeling I'm having recently of trying to consume media and getting all this AI generated content. But to be fair, I also mostly consume, I'm a little bit of a bubble, so when I come across it, it's a bit disturbing, but yeah, it's fine. For the general audiences, I think it will still remain. We'll still have a massive amount of population for whom it's not important. They don't distinguish and they don't care if it's propaganda or not. I'm just thinking that maybe the tolerance towards the content in general is higher. Let's say I cannot imagine that a person in some country watched enough propaganda to actually, I don't know, go fight in another country. But on the other hand, I see this is happening in countries not so far. But in Europe, I don't see it happening. So I still believe that, maybe journalists can employ these tools. However, journalistic communities is also a bit snobbish. So journalists who do it, they can be looked
for passion.
Yeah, they can. It will be like, what are you doing? Like this is not up to our standards. So I don't think you can walk into New York Times and be like, I made this picture. Like, well, I would like a Pulitzer Award for the photograph. And it's AI generated, like this is ridiculous. But maybe it's not going to be ridiculous in
yes, I'm also thinking
years.
this way, because imagine before picture made by phone was kind of, it's not a professional, blah, 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 come on. Now all the phones are taking so great images and it's fully competing with, high cost equipment. But actually I remembered what I wanted to say. The problem with generative AI specifically, it's not stable. You see, the problem, a friend of mine, she's configuring agents, as you mentioned, for the cafe and so on. And she developed use case, even showing to the client. And imagine what happened just a few days before showcasing to the client. They used ChatGPT for that, so API, and ChatGPT changed something in the model, exactly. And and she was angry. Come on, it works. So it worked at my computer. Yeah, just yesterday I checked it. Imagine the day before.
Yeah.
So how stable all of these things are. Again, my opinion, we also discussed with Yulia before. So now the human basically a supervision does a supervision. You're still the expert. You are a software developer. You're still checking the code, the line. You know how it should be, and AI helps you to execute it, basically making faster, sometimes even improve a bit the quality. But you are basically a decision maker. You're pressing the button, you are confirming it, and so on.
Hopefully you're pressing the button.
Hopefully.
Because
Hopefully. By the way, you know that Cursor was purchased by SpaceX recently. Elon Musk purchased Cursor. Interesting. So I'm a bit again. I'm in the middle between human and AI. Before human were making job and AI or not AI or machine was helping it. But now we are helping machine. Actually, machine is making the job for us. We created the task, but job is on AI, and we are doing the supervision. So, and for the articles, for images, for very complex automation for the business, again, still it should make sense. The probably there is no meaning in life, but we are making the meaning of it for it. So AI itself, it doesn't know what is it. It's a good, bad. So we just make stuff. but we are putting, value in this. We are identifying is true, is it true, is it relevant, and so on.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I hope it will remain like this in journalism as well. But I also know a lot of lazy people, journalists as well, who
lazy people
who just need to put something out. They need to fill in the paper every day, and sometimes
And
you
have some deadlines, pressure.
exactly. So newspapers, especially dailies, it's like it's non-stop work. They start 6 in the morning, and they need to deliver the paper to print, and that still works this way. It's been working like this for now 300 years. Sometimes this pressure makes people try to find easier ways, easier paths, and then just use AI, generate some bogus thing, just some overview of a movie they haven't seen. I'm guilty myself. So, for instance, there was about like an article came out with New York Times, and I used to have a subscription, but I don't anymore. I was like, I'm not going to spend $2.99 to buy a subscription to read that one article. So I asked ChatGPT, what is actually the article about? The article was about like how having a boyfriend is not cool anymore. And I was like, okay, let's see. Why is it not cool anymore? And then the ChatGPT gave me some generic, as you said, like Reddit response. And I was so disappointed. I really wanted to know why it's not cool, not because women are more independent.
Your opinion, you
not
were
the
looking
Reddit
for
opinion.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to know the exact point of the journalist, like her point of view, and I didn't get it. So in the end, I was like, okay, I mean, still didn't buy the subscription, but I was really close to pay